When humans aggressively paved over the natural world, we accidentally created an apocalyptic filter that wiped out the vast majority of native wildlife. Take Adelaide, Australia. Since the mid-1800s, the diversity of mammals there has plummeted by more than a quarter. Look at New York City, which has lost almost exactly half of all its native plant species. Even insects are pushed out. In Rome, at least 25 distinct species of butterflies have completely vanished from the city limits. For the overwhelming majority of native flora and fauna, the modern metropolis is a lethal obstacle course. They hit the concrete and they simply tap out and die. Yet, if you look closely at that same concrete, you'll notice a select few animals and plants that are absolutely thriving. The easiest way to beat the system is what we can call Tier 1, dumb luck. These are species whose natural biology accidentally perfectly matches our human architecture. Rock pigeons, for example, naturally evolved to roost on sheer, rocky vertical cliffs. To them, our sky-high artificial window ledges are perfect, ready-made substitutes. English ivy operates on the exact same logic. It is pre-adapted to climb tall trees in the woods, seamlessly swapping bark for vertical brick walls. Then there's the ultimate urban opportunist, the raccoon. Because they are highly omnivorous, they gladly trade difficult woodland foraging for an endless buffet of our trash. That artificial feast is so reliable that raccoons now pack themselves into cities at 10 times the density they do in the woods. But notice that Tier 1 survival requires zero actual biological change. It is entirely driven by the lucky coincidence of pre-existing traits matching up with urban structures. If an animal lacks that natural architectural advantage, they have to work for it. Enter Tier 2. The hustle. These species must actively change their daily behavior to survive. Coyotes manage to colonize heavily populated metropolitan areas by drastically shifting their natural sleep schedules to become nocturnal. The logic behind this adaptation is strict survival. Sleeping through the day and hunting under streetlights minimizes their dangerous encounters with humans. But eventually, animals hit a wall. Changing your sleep schedule or your diet isn't enough to survive the severe chemical pollution and physical stressors embedded in a modern city. To truly conquer the urban gauntlet, a species has to completely rewrite its own genetic code. We usually think of evolution as a slow, agonizing process. So how could it possibly keep up with the sudden, massive boom of urbanization? The mechanics are brutally fast. When a lethal challenge appears overnight, individuals lacking a rare survival trait simply die. In speedy breeders with lots of offspring, this elimination pressure forces the rare genetic trait to become the new normal surprisingly fast. That brings us to Tier 3, the mutants. Let's look at the white-footed mouse living in New York City. Recent DNA sequencing reveals a stark biological divide. The genes of these urban mice differ from their country cousins in over 30 significant ways. Those rapid shifts show up directly in the genes responsible for fighting disease and processing toxins. These mice are actively upgrading their internal biological hardware to survive a filthy, crowded landscape. For an even more extreme test of evolutionary speed, we have to look back to the mid-20th century Hudson River. Industrial factories dumped thousands of tons of highly toxic chemical PCBs directly into the water. For most aquatic life, this was a guaranteed death sentence. But the local tomcod pulled off a mind-blowing evolutionary speedrun. In just 6 decades, 99% of the fish evolved a specific mutation that perfectly blocks the toxins from entering their cells. Plants are mutating under the exact same pressure. In Montpellier, France, the physical challenge for a plant is that crash-landing a seed onto solid pavement means certain death. In fewer than 12 years, urban weeds there evolved to produce heavier seeds. Instead of blowing away and bouncing off the concrete, the heavy seeds drop straight down into whatever tiny patch of dirt is nearby. The grand consequence of all this rapid rewiring is that urban and rural populations are diverging geographically and genetically so fast that they could soon split into entirely separate species. This doesn't mean that concrete jungles are suddenly a blessing for biodiversity. They are brutal, accidental laboratories that are constantly testing the ultimate limits of life.